What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Spurs Hangout Spot, where we talk about everything San Antonio Spurs basketball, from news, rumors, opinions, and more. So let's get into it. All right, so I got a quick video today I want to talk about, and it's mainly because I've been seeing this mentioned a couple of times, not necessarily on my videos, but a couple of other videos I've seen in the comments. And I should preface this by saying this is if we end up drafting Harper at number 2. Okay, so keep that in mind. So with that being said, what I've been seeing or what I've seen mentioned a couple of times is that if we bring Harper in, Castle should be the bench guy. Think about that. This is the guy who's won a national championship, who's the rookie of the year, who's an all NBA first team selection, the only one that was unanimous at that. And we're talking about putting this guy on the bench to be a sixth man. Where does that make sense at? Why are we thinking that Castle is going to be Ginóbili? Why are we thinking that our players are going to be okay with just working hard, improving that game, and sitting on the bench to be a sixth man? Why are we still in that era? This is not that era anymore. And I know why fans are saying it because, like myself, if we draft Harper, no, I don't see those three being a good fit out there on the floor together. That being Fox, Harper, and Castle. Mainly because of the shooting deficiencies. It's not good. No matter how much you want to tell me that it'll be a great fit. When one of those guys drive, they're kicking to non-shooters. So everyone wants to reference the OKC team. Well, Dort can shoot, Jalen Williams can shoot, Chet can shoot, Caruso can shoot, and Shea got somewhat of a decent, three-point game. His main game is the midi. But either way, we don't have that personnel. When we drive, we're kicking out to non-shooters. So I'm thinking a lot of other people are saying this as well, which is why they're debating if Castle should go to the bench or Harper should go to the bench. But again, it's being talked about because it's not a great fit. Until those guys can get out there and be consistent, 35 plus shooting threes, it's not a great fit because you got a bunch of non-shooters on the floor, which I also feel will end up hurting Wemby's game because all they have to do is pat the paint. He's kicking out the non-shooters mainly. But the idea that I'm mainly focused on is that why are we trying to put Castle on the bench when clearly he needs to be a starter? Outside of, I think, Blake Wesley, Jeremy Sohan, he's our best defender. He's our best on-ball defender. We clearly seen that last year. And when he started games, when Fox went out, we were all asking, hey, why is he not getting more minutes? For whatever reason, Mitch was, limiting his minutes in some games. And we're all wondering, hey, why is Castle not getting more minutes? I think it was a couple of games he got 15 minutes or less. So we wanted him to be a starter. We wanted him to show what he can do. And now we're talking about putting him on the bench, which doesn't make sense. This guy needs to be a bona fide starter on our squad. And yes, I do feel like there are more pieces that we should go after besides bringing in another combo guard who does the same thing that Fox does, who does the same thing that Castle does. Now, there has been video out there with Castle showing that he's been working on his jump shot, he's been working on his form, he's been working on his game. And all this changes if he gets his three-point shooting up. All this changes if Harper comes in shooting at a nice rate. At this point, Fox kind of is what he is if you go by, historical numbers with him. But as of right now, I still don't understand why are we talking about putting Castle on the bench. This is not the old Spurs era. You're not going to put a guy like that on the bench who has the potential to be an all-star. Star, I think for sure, all-star, possibly, or more. And I hate putting ceilings on people because we don't know what any of these players can be. All we could do is guess. We're saying we're drafting the most NBA rated, which I still don't even understand what that means. I mean, Wemby is the greatest prospect of all time from what, was put on him. And even they said he didn't come in NBA ready. So you're trying to tell me that another person is NBA ready? It makes no sense to me. But anyway, I just can't see us putting Castle on the bench and thinking he's going to accept that role for long. Maybe while he's under contract, of course, he has no choice. But when it's time to start looking elsewhere, you think this man is going to be okay with taking a pay cut and sitting on the bench just to please us? No, we got to stop thinking that way. Let him be a starter, let him develop his game, and let him be the focus point along with Wemby. And stop trying to put a ceiling on this guy and saying that he needs to go to the bench just so our rookie could come in and run the squad. I don't, makes no sense. And again, just because I'm saying Harper is not a good fit right now, I think he's not a good fit right now, doesn't mean I'm hating on this guy. I'm just saying I don't think he's a good fit right now when we have clearly other issues that we need to focus on. If we're getting him to make a trade, okay, I'm with that. But if we're getting him to run him out there with Fox, Castle at the same time, all throughout there at the same time, can't nobody convince me that's a good fit, because it's not, which is why we're talking about putting one of these guys on the bench, So again, this is just my thought process. We definitely got to get away from thinking that we're just going to develop these guys and sit them on a bench and they're going to be okay with that. They're going to be a Spurs for life. I don't want to see another Derek White situation. Look what Derek White turned into. So again, guys, that's my thoughts and opinions on it. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on it. Let me know if I'm wrong. Do you see Castle being all right with being a Spurs sixth man for life on the bench and giving pay cuts to us, just so he can run the second unit or whatnot? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Appreciate you watching the video. Until the next one, go Spurs.